But first, the peace warrior and the chaos agents. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The peace warrior never stops. He's relentless.
I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper.
Not even a week after his historic Middle East peace agreement, President Trump was back in the peace business again today. He chatted up Vladimir.
I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done. To the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars.
Trump understands leverage and that no matter how challenging the situation, effective negotiations require that the doors to peace are always propped open. And his leverage? Well, first, he's riding really high in international affairs after last week. Second, he's using tariffs to squeeze India to stop buying oil from Russia. And the third point of leverage involves a certain type of weapon we could begin shipping to Ukraine. Trump's floated the possibility of sending them long-range missiles, and that seems to have gotten Putin's attention.
They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal, but one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over.
Of course, the press still doesn't understand Trump's negotiating style.
Aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am. But, I've been played all my life by the best of them. And I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah, a little time.
Is your gut instinct
it's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal.
Well, Tomahawks would be a severe and very dangerous escalation. I personally think it's a terrible idea. And yesterday, thankfully, Trump seemed to be shifting his position.
I mean, we can't deplete for our country. So, they're very vital. They're very powerful. They're very accurate. They're very good. But we need them, too. So I don't know what we can do about that.
But again, Trump's keeping everyone guessing here. Most importantly, Russia. And that is a classic art of the deal style move.
I did actually say, would you mind if I gave a couple of thousand Tomahawks to your opposition? I did say that to him. I said it just that way. He didn't like the idea. He really didn't like the idea. No, I said it that way. You have to be a little bit lighthearted sometimes.
The main point here, Trump's working overtime on issues that really matter. Not just on peace abroad, but on safety and security here as well, by taking out deadly threats before they even arrive on our shores. Venezuelan drug traffickers got another unexpected surprise last night in the Caribbean. Boom. Another vessel and its lethal contents destroyed. These strikes have suddenly gotten Venezuelan President Maduro's attention.
It has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
That's how it ended today. Bombs and the F-bombs. At least we know President Trump will never stop trying to save American lives. But over in the Democrat Party, the opposite seems true. They're fine with sacrificing American lives if it means flooding our country with illegals and protecting even the most sadistic criminals from deportation. That's what they were doing today near an ICE detention facility outside Chicago. still has the Hamas scarf. I love that. And the Mexican flag still flying. Nothing but perpetual agitation against law and order on the left. And of course, perpetual agitation against an America they loathe. Because their ultimate goal, especially those who are funding these things, the takedown of the Trump administration. And as usual, their arguments are both tired and illogical. They tried the Trump's a dictator theme all last year and they lost huge. But they're still sticking with it. But how exactly is Donald Trump a threat to democracy? Because he's, what, tackling wasteful spending? Or removing illegals? Or reshoring manufacturing? Negotiating peace and trade deals? What? Of course, it's all goofy. Just like this weekend's coming attraction. More protest theater. Even supporters are kind of underselling it.
I don't think you're going to walk away from this weekend and come to the conclusion that America doesn't care about the destruction of our democracy. To the extent that there aren't millions of people out there every single weekend, well, maybe that's because at times this year, Democratic elected officials haven't acted like the crisis is urgent. This is the first moment where Democrats are having a fight.
No agenda, no leader. Unless you're inspired by this guy.
No kings. A declaration of independence against the tyranny, against lawlessness in the context that there was no rule of law. It was the rule of king. And I think increasingly people are waking up to the rule of law in this country, increasingly appearing to be the rule of Don.
Oh no, Gav, you're precious. No kings, no message. Democrats are always underestimating the common sense of the American voter. If Trump is such a threat to American stability, why is he more liked at this point in his second term than either Obama or Bush? My friends, Democrats are in a flat spin, and they can't turn out of it. And imagine the ride if Kamala were in the cockpit. But even when President Trump faces turbulence, he manages to rise above it and keep his eye on the horizon. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.